Now, just for the sake of the video, I'm just going to say a few things. We are on class number, who knows what class this is? Class number 17. This one's not working either. We're doing a self-assessment on the lifestyle assessment form. And if anyone who's watching the video would like the lifestyle assessment form, just go to the number 3 Angels, ANGELS, historic.com, and then when you get there, click health, and then you will see it in the next week. You should see it up there for the lifestyle assessment form. Okay. What we're going to be doing today, and this is just for the sake of the video, we're going to be going through all the laws of health. We won't cover everything today. We'll go through it quickly. So go quick with me. The things you're not doing and you should be, put a red check. The things you're doing and you shouldn't be, put a red check. And be honest, because this is between you and God. This is for yourself. Okay. If you're doing it and you shouldn't be, let's say you're eating Twinkies and you shouldn't be. When we get to the snack part, the desserts like that, put a check mark. If you're not doing it, like walking, and you should be, put a red check mark. You get it? Is that understandable? Okay, we're going to get started. Alrighty, let's go to where it says nutrition. For some people, that's page 2. For other people, that's page 3. If you have small print, okay, if everyone's there, say amen. Okay, under nutrition, I'm going to read this quickly, so let's go quickly. Try to follow as quickly as you can, and if you can, if you're falling behind, just tell me, Sister Guardo, can you slow down a little bit? Okay, under nutrition, circle one where needed. So if you see multiples in the question, circle each one that applies. Or circle yes or no, or sometimes. Do you eat any meat or flesh items, including seafood? This is chicken, turkey, pork, fish, shrimp, etc. Yes or no? Do you eat whey or casein? These are animal proteins that may be found in foods such as bread, protein, shakes, etc. Yes or no? Do you eat any dairy items or eggs, milk, cheese, butter, etc.? Yes or no? Number 3 says which ones. You could do the which ones later. You could just answer the yes or no. Do you eat any white products? White bread, white rice, white flour, white tortillas, white sugar products, etc. If yes, put a red check mark. If you answered yes to the previous, put a red check mark. Number 5, how many servings of fruit do you eat per day? How many servings of vegetables? If you don't eat any, if you eat less than 3 of each, put a check mark. Do you ever mix your fruit and vegetables? And these answers will take us back to the last 30 to 60 days. If you just started yesterday, it doesn't count. Let's go to the last 30 days. If you're doing this or not doing this, we'll say to the last 30 days. If you mix your fruit and vegetables, so example is tomatoes with greens, tomatoes with romaine lettuce, lettuce with berries, or fruit dressing with the lettuce, put a check mark if you put yes. That includes bell pepper, anything that has a seed in it, and you mix it with the romaine lettuce, spinach. If you're doing that, just put a check mark. And I've put the check mark, so don't feel bad if you have to. Do you use condiments such as ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, barbecue sauce, soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce? I didn't put it in here, but liquid smoke. A1 dressing, Vegenaise, mayonnaise, salad dressings, pickles, vinegar, Bragg's aminos. And I put in parentheses, this includes Bragg's and Vegenaise. If you put yes to any of these and circle all that apply, put a red check mark. Number 7, do you add any of the following spices to your food? Cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, cloves, curry, cumin, hot sauces, chili peppers, cayenne peppers, black and white peppers. This includes hot sauce like Tabasco or Crystal, any pepper or spice. Cinnamon, nutmeg, if you do, put a check mark. Do you eat fried foods? This includes fried potatoes, French fries, fried chips, fried tortilla chips, Frito-Lay's chips, those are fried. If you eat any fried foods, put a check mark. Do you use margarine or butter, the vegan kind included? If you do, put a red check mark. Even, you know the vegan butter? If you use, what's it called? Earth Balance. If you put a check mark. And I'll tell you guys why. There's ingredients in there, and I did not know this. There's one that has MSG, and the other has, I think, whey or casein in it. And what'd you say? And canola oil. And we learned about canola oil, right? Now, for everything that we are taken away, there's a substitute, amen. So let's not be discouraged. Okay. Number 10, do you use baking powder or baking soda? This includes aluminum-free. The aluminum-free baking sodas and baking powders are still harmful to the health. They have other ingredients that are poison to the blood. Number 11, do you eat fresh bread? Bread eaten less than 48 hours. So if you make raised biscuits with yeast or raised bread with yeast, anything with yeast, do you eat it in less than 48 hours? Put a red check mark if you answer yes. How many times a day do you eat bread? Is it white or whole grain? If you put white, put a red check mark. If you put whole wheat pastry flour, put a red check mark. Whole wheat pastry flour is a mixture of white flour and whole wheat flour. And class, have we been counseled we shouldn't eat any white flour? Amen. Okay. 12. Do you eat or drink any cocoa, chocolate, or ice cream? Yes or no? If you put yes, put a check mark, and how often? Number 13, which oils do you cook with? If you use anything besides a nut or sea oil, if you use vegetable oil, if you use corn oil, if you use any type of shortening, even if it's a vegetable shortening, put a red check mark. But if you use seed oils or olive oil, you do not need to put a red check mark. That would be number 13. It's a nut oil. That's an iffy one. They say seed or olive oil. If you use a nut oil, put it, because it gets rancid when you heat it. Okay, put a question mark next to that one. Number 14, do you always read the labels of food items that you buy from the store? What does always mean? So if you take a can of tomato sauce, do you read it? If you get a bread, do you read it? Always. I had to say no because I had to be honest with myself. Do you purchase items even if you don't know what some of the ingredients are, like natural flavoring? Have you looked at items but you really don't know what it is, but you went ahead and bought it? Put a check mark if you said yes. Number 15, list any sweeteners you consume. Sugar, honey, fructose, molasses, maple syrup. Circle all of them. Honey is okay. Molasses is okay. Pure maple syrup is okay. Stevia is okay. If you marked any other of those sweeteners, put a red check mark. Raw sugar, they say put a red check mark. Yes. Put a red check mark. Yes. Put a red check mark. Number 16, how much and often do you eat nuts? If you do not eat nuts every day of the week, put a red check mark. And how much did we say? 1/4 cup or a handful? And should it seep out the sides? No. Are your nuts raw? If you put no, put another red check mark. Either raw or roasted and cooked and salted. If you eat roasted, cooked, or salted nuts, put a red check mark. You could do one. If they're not raw, you don't put one for not raw and one for roasted. It's the same thing. Do you eat any seeds? If you don't eat at least 1 tablespoon of seeds a day, it really should be 2 tablespoons, put a red check mark. And we have chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. There's many seeds out there. Flax seed. Number 18, do you eat any canned or packaged items? This could be beans, veggies, fruits, veggie meats, included veggie meats, etc. Anything you buy in a can, whether it's tomato paste, whether it's pine, whether it's tomato sauce, tomato paste, anything in a can. If you do, put a red check mark. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. Number 20, are you on a special diet? Yes or no? If you are on a special diet that your doctor put you on, if it's like a 2-gram sodium, or if you have to eat little protein or something, make sure you write that in there. But you don't need to put a red check mark. Number 22, do you eat out? And this is including the vegetarian restaurants. If you do, put a red check mark. No, it doesn't matter how often. If you eat out, put a red check mark. Okay? Number 23, do you use salt, including garlic salt, onion salt, or Lowry seasoning salt? If you said yes to Lowry seasoning salt, put a red check mark. Onion salt's okay, garlic salt's okay. Garlic is okay. Which type do you use? Sea salt is fine. If you use regular salt, table salt, or if you use sea salt that's pure white, put a red check mark. Number 24, do you chew gum, eat breath mints, or any type of candies? Now remember, this is within the last 30 days. And this is not to criticize anyone, so please, this is just to show us what our health message is. And when we see all the red check marks are, we'll understand why we have the headaches, why we have the backaches, we'll understand why we're sick, congested. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Well, here's what they say. Something you do can affect you from 14 to 30 days if you went to get tested. So if you've even done it once in the last 30 days, put a red check mark, because it can affect you. Does anyone remember what we learned, which class it was, where if you cheat in this area, it will register for the next 2 weeks? Cholesterol. Somebody said it, cholesterol. Very good, Neela, cholesterol. If you were to say, okay, I'm going to eat, it's just butter, it's just Smart Balance, you know what, I'm just going to eat a little bit of the Smart Balance, that will affect your test scores if you go to the lab for the next 14 days. That's why it's very important to ask people. Okay, so do you eat anything with food coloring, MSG, additives, or preservatives? And there's a hidden list of 25 hidden names for MSG. Put a red check mark if you put yes. If you said no to that and you use Bragg's Liquids Aminos, put a red check mark. Number 26. Does anyone remember why we're going to put a red check mark next to Bragg's Liquids? What did we learn, class? MSG. That's right. It has free glutamate. Okay. Number 26. Do you eat more than 4 types of food at one meal? This includes your bread, salad, soup, and dessert. If it's yes, put a red check mark. Number 27, from the time you finish your first meal, do you wait 5 to 6 hours before eating your next? So if you start eating at 1 in the afternoon, but you don't finish till 1:30, do you wait till at least 6:30 till you eat your fruit in the evening? If you put no and you don't wait 5 to 6 hours, put a red check mark. And I mean any time cheated. If you even cheated once in the last 30 days, put a red check mark. 28. How many times per day do you eat? If you put more than 3, put a red check mark. If you work a sedentary lifestyle, if you're like me at home and you sit down a lot in front of the computer and you eat that 3rd meal, put a red check mark. But if you work active and you're busy and you're doing strenuous, 3 meals is fine. But we're told that 2 is better than 3 if you live a sedentary lifestyle. Okay? 29. Do you eat when you are upset? Right after hard study? When you're in a sweat or in a hurry? If you put yes to any of those, put a red check mark. 30. Do you eat liquid foods like soup or smoothies? If you put yes, put a red check mark. Why not smoothies? What did we learn? They're cold. Are we supposed to eat anything cold? What does it do to the digestive